Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus are here with me on the show. Great to have your company. We've got lots to chat about, of course, with the international football. We'll deal with it a little later on, but lots to chat about and to tell you about subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you get a chance to do that, amazingly, Alison, which I didn't know, 70% of the people who watch the programme just don't hit that subscribe button, which is amazing. We've got so many loyal and brilliant subscribers now, and we're trying to head to 100,000 subscribers, and we are going to give away a prize that you would not believe. So if you subscribe and you're part of the 100,000, once we hit 100,000, we are giving away a prize that is going to be absolutely sensational, which I cannot tell you about right now.
His old Skechers.
Well, it could be something.
Could be you.
Well, I was going to say,
a date with Tam or a date with the housewives.
Yeah,
I've actually in another life, as we knew, we were at other companies.
Yes.
I put up a competition to go round to a house in Stirling to hoover the house.
Is that right?
Charity bet, yeah.
Can I just say that if you're part of the 100,000 subscribers, it's better than Rocky hoovering your house. It's as simple as that. He just had a little opinion on. But nevertheless, it's definitely going to be better than that. So if you want to, and if you get a chance, we really do value your support. And if you get a chance, hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and we'll be absolutely delighted you've joined the football family. Simple as that. Okay, lots to talk about, including, of course, some of the news that's come out. Daizen Maeda had an agreement in place to leave Celtic, apparently. So here's what he had to say on the whole situation, which was very, very interesting indeed, because I think a number of Celtic fans will be surprised by this. I had an offer. I had communicated to the club that I wanted to take the next step in my career. However, Celtic couldn't secure a replacement, so they told me they couldn't let me go. Personally, I had agreed, so I felt like I wanted to take on the challenge. The national team had delayed my call-up, and I asked Celtic to let me stay until the last day, but it didn't work out. Well, that adds even more, I think, intrigue to the whole transfer window, because they would have known for longer than the window was shutting, Alison.
Yeah, I think the links between Daizen Maeda and Brentford were particularly prevalent for the last 3 or 4 weeks of the window. I don't think this news would come as any great surprise to people who have been in and round about it this summer, in terms of chatting to people and trying to work out what was happening in the window. I think Brentford were very keen on him, and I think where the surprise will come was the fact that it had gone so far as for personal terms to be agreed. And I think the very fact that it went to the last day of that window, and Maeda, of course, was due out to, I think, Japan on a tour in the States. I think the fact that they allowed him to delay hooking up with his national team to try and get the deal over the line would tell you how deep it had gone and how far along the line it had gone. So for Celtic not to be able to allow him to go because he couldn't get a replacement is pretty staggering when you consider that it would have been in the off for weeks and weeks in the build up to that.
And the other thing is, Ruffy, quite simply, if they are now at a situation where, and as you can only look at the growing unrest among so many supporters, and they've put together this set of bullet points that they want answered by the Celtic board, which, to be perfectly honest with you, I think they haven't got a catch chance in hell of getting a reply out of them. But what it shows you is that even in the recruitment department, there needs to be heads rolling. If there are people now calling for change at boardroom level, at ownership level, which will not be in any way paid heed to, there should be close scrutiny of our recruitment at boardroom level, at ownership level, which will not be in any way paid heed to. There should be close scrutiny of our recruitment for players. And do you remember us all watching?
He's off.
He's off it. He is off it.
Mm-hmm.
And you only have to look and see why.
Yeah, I mean, he has been off it, there's no doubt about that. And when there's something like that on the go, you know, that some players deal with it better than others. You know, it's obviously put him off his game. You know, obviously the reason he came to Celtic was to a moving step down to England. We hear that most of them come, you know, to move on to a bigger club, and he's obviously set his heart on that. But hard to believe that he's away negotiating terms and everything, and he's contracted to the club. You know, I just find it absolutely amazing. You know, it just shows you how much the football's changed now, that players have more than every right to do what they want. But if they get a promise, you've got to honour it. He's obviously been promised it if a reasonable bid comes in. I think he's just unfortunate. It's came at the right time, at the wrong time, when there's all the carrying on about players not coming in. And if he was allowed to leave, oh, hell would have blocked this.
But by the way, there's a difference in mentality and a difference in culture. Now, I have to say, Alison, having heard that story, and I'll get Tam's take on it in a moment, but having heard that story, it really is Groundhog Day at Celtic, because this same situation happened when Brendan was here the last time. Promises made, players unhappy, some of them in the French contingent literally down tools. They were angry and they caused all sorts of hassle in the background. And yet again, this rears its ugly head. I'm not saying it's directly Brendan's fault. It's people in the background who are clearly dealing with them and making promises that can't be kept.
Also, I think the problem you have is that this is a big part of Celtic's actual, or was a big part at one point of Celtic's actual recruitment strategy, of saying to young players, come, we will give you a platform, you do well, we'll honour a move. You know, use us as a conduit to go and take the next step on your career. We can showcase what you have, we won't stand in your way when an offer comes in. So I think it doesn't reflect well on Celtic. It goes against everything that they've purported to be about and how they've attracted players into the club. I think I think it's staggering. I think when you see how far along the line that move has been, to not only to not have a replacement lined up, you didn't have a replacement for Kyogo lined up, you didn't have another striker coming in. If he had really stamped his feet and said, I'm going to go, I want to go, and I'm down in tools here until I get my move, Celtic would have had a huge problem. The fact that he's been fairly professional about it now, I do think he's been affected by it. I think performances, we've not seen the Diogo Jota of last season yet. I think he's looked way off it, but I don't think you could question his professionalism. He's honouring his contract. He's doing what he should be doing. If he'd had to say, hang on a minute, I'm going to agitate to make sure I get this move, Celtic would have been would have had a real headache.
Well, you now then go back, Tam, and you start to go back over press conferences where Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers is quoted as saying, players have to remember that they're paid wages by Celtic Football Club. All of these things are falling into line. Yeah,
it's just more bad PR for Celtic. It's been a bad couple of weeks for Celtic, it really has, and you've not only got him, you've got Yang, who was down in Birmingham, had a move tied up, and then he's got to drive back up the road.
Even Ida's was complicated.
Ida was down in Swansea, back up the road, back down again. It's been an absolute mess, Peter, and questions are rightly going to be asked about the Celtic recruitment team, because...
It doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter at the minute, it's done now, but...
No, but it doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter, nothing's changing. Nothing's changing, there's nobody held accountable.
Well...
There's no heads rolling. Shut up, pay your season ticket, get on with it. This is the strategy. We'll do what we like. And by the way, if you want an answer, you're not getting one. We're not going to speak to you.
Well, there might be somebody coming out and speaking shortly.
Who?
Michael Nicholson.
Not a chance. No chance.
There might be somebody coming out and speaking.
That's fake news. I think that's what we call that.
Is that fake news?
That's not happening.
Well, I think there's somebody...
Michael Nicholson actually come out and said anything.
I think there's somebody got to come out with Celtic. We've spoke about it for weeks with myself and Ruffy. You can't just sit in the background in the shadows and not say anything. There's got, especially with this coming out with Diogo Jota. You can't. Yeah, there's got to be something coming out of Celtic.
There's what's called telepathy there from Alison and myself. We're just looking at each other and going, Tam clearly doesn't get the drill now. We've had it for 20 years. Nobody's coming out.
Especially on the back of this Diogo Jota news as well, Peter. Nobody's going to come out and clarify
Brendan Rodgers will
transfers.
come out at a press conference and basically Brendan Rodgers will say Diogo Jota is here. It's unfortunate maybe that he wanted to go, but it just didn't happen, and he's here, and we're delighted he's here, and he's part of the club, and until such time, blah, 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 blah.
And the other problem you have is when you look back to that COVID season, you look back to Neil Lennon's last season, and players that they said, hang on, stay at the club, we want to try and get this 10, we know you want away, but we want you to stay. It becomes very problematic. I think it is rarely a success when you have players whose head and heart is already elsewhere.
John says this is the reason behind Dyson Maeda's dramatic drop in form and intensity level. It's understandable. Celtic should have got top dollar for him in the recent window, whilst his stock was high. Yeah.
Well, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Selling him.
So, listen, there would have been a tentative agreement already. The fact that it got to the point of personal terms, it doesn't matter how much money the bid would have come in. Celtic could not have allowed
Alison, how can you go and get personal terms when you're under contract with another club?
I think the clubs have obviously agreed a fee, with the caveat being you can only go if...
Well, you would think that nowadays the modern player now has, and he's not them all, but a lot of them have, if you get a bid in for me for 8,000...
A release clause.
I've got to go. You know, we don't know if that's the case, if he's got that. And if he has got that in his contract, he's got every right, you know, to go and do it. But I just find it really strange him negotiating with another club without permission from the club that he's under.
I'm sure if the players coming over from Japan and Korea that have got something in their contract, that if an English Premier League club comes in, you know, that it is a stepping stone, albeit, you know, Celtic are a bigger club than Brentford, but the ultimate aim for these players is to get to the English Premier League, where the money is.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, we do mention to everyone that we read out good points and bad points, criticism of ourselves. We absolutely can take it, providing, of course, it's not abusive. Then we're more than happy to read out so many of your quotes, your comments, your opinions. And this one from Brian: all teams go through difficulties, and Celtic are no different. Sensible Celtic fans need to block out the noise from all the anti-Celtic media, including PLZ. I just thought I'd read that one out from Brian because obviously
He's had a sherry.
because Brian, he might have had a sherry or two. No, Brian's just I'll say it. Brian's just obviously open to the propaganda that comes out of the club and can't read the headlines that come out every day that are blatantly obvious for everyone to see. You don't have hundreds upon hundreds of people, lots of supporters groups all coming out with a joint statement. They're not all anti-Celtic, are they, Ruffy?
No, I mean, that's why I think me and Tam agree that something has to be said. I know you two are saying, no, they'll just keep their head under, no say, and there needs to be a quote for somebody. You don't have to put a name against it around, just throw it out there.
They are coming out for Celtic, and it was awful.
When was the last time?
4 weeks.
Ali and I know this answer, right? Here's quiz time, because there's a quiz later on, but here's quiz time. When was the last time anybody from the board came out when they were forced to, because the unrest was unbearable? They had to come out. Can you tell me when it was?
No, I can't. But I can't. I don't know if it was
COVID season.
I don't know if it was
Dubai. Dubai. And do you know what it was? Peter Law was speaking to a Celtic TV interviewer.
Yeah, but I mean,
There's not a chance.
Yeah, but was there a big ballot from the supporters groups?
Yeah.
Complaining this
Again,
hysteria
a
is
poor window
now.
and the title slipping out of their grasp and then coming back from a Dubai and drawing with Hibs. I seem to remember it was a midweek draw with Hibs and falling further.
Pictures
down
of people having pints.
Yeah.
Things can change.
Somebody, yeah.
Things can change.
Oh, look, there's a pig just flying over your head.
I just think you're almost on a hide into nothing, even coming out. What are you going to say? We didn't get deals over the line for X, Y, or Z reasons. No one is going to say, oh, that, all right, we understand now. That's great. You're just going to invite further criticism.
The other good thing about it is we've analysed on the programme all this week. Don't be worried because Alison and I are having a go at you, Robbie. We're just giving you the last 20 years.
No, because you're there at the press conferences. You're asking the questions. You're there. You get the vibe there and then of
exactly.
who's doing
when
what.
The Partick Thistle fans were looking for you to come out at the time when you mentioned about the protesters over on the river. Did you come out and make a public statement? No. You ducked and you ducked and dived.
Even they were calling for you to strip the Alan Rough lounge.
Yes, the painting. They wanted the painting off the wall.
And back your 1971 winners medal.
No, but I think every situation is different.
Yeah,
Wear a hat.
yeah, sure. Listen, we have analysed all this week, all the clubs. I'll tell you one thing that's coming out, because the window has now shut, Ruffy. And we then agreed, once we realise what's happening with the window, we'll then give our 1 to 12, and it's coming out on Monday, Ruffy. We've basically been standing next to our new touchscreen monitor, and we've been putting in position our 1 to 12, where they think they're going to finish. You know, it takes brave people just to go up there and explain where they think the teams are going to finish. We've analysed all this week the ins and the outs and the squad depths and everything, and where we think the winners and losers are. I think we narrowed it down, Tam, to maybe 3 or 4 sides that we thought had a really good window. Hibs and Hearts were certainly up there as a good transfer window.
Rangers Aberdeen.
And Rangers and Aberdeen.
St Mirren, it's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, if the 4 that really, really good, we thought of the team. So you've done your 1 to 12, Ruffy.
Yes.
Is there any shocks in there? Big shocks? You don't need to tell us.
He won't
but
do any shocks.
The
He won't be
only
criticised.
Mr. Predictable?
Yep.
The only shock
now.
the only shock I had was when I was doing it. Obviously, there was 12 teams. When I came to my 11th team, they disappeared off the board. Just lost them.
you didn't know how to work this game. I remember that. Yeah. But it's well worth it. It's out on our social media on Monday. You'll be able to see Tam's, Alison's. Scott Allen's done his as well. It's really, really interesting to see where you think teams are going to finish. It's well worth a viewing on it. Interestingly enough, on our message board, thank you to so many of you. Why don't you give us your thoughts on where you think your team's going to finish in the league as well? We'd be delighted to see who you think is going to get relegated, who's going to be in the playoff, who's going to win the league. Even your top 6 on the feed, we'll read it out. It's good to hear your opinion on it as well. And also, as we mentioned, thank you to so many of you for subscribing to PLZ Soccer. When we get to 100,000 subscribers, we are going to pick one lucky winner from all our subscribers who's going to get a fantastic prize. It's going to be absolutely one to remember. Let me put it that way for you. So we'd love you to get on board with that. And interestingly enough, thank you to those who are subscribing to our PLZ Soccer premium service with additional content, prize giveaways. We've had some belter things that we're giving away, and we've also got a competition which I'll let you see later on. So with that in mind, just looking at the Maeda situation, here's the Celtic squad depth now from overall. This is what they have in the race for the title, if there is indeed going to be a title race. What do you make of that, Tam?
I think if you look at the starting 11, I think it's pretty strong. I think middle of the park, you're well covered. I'd be a wee bit concerned with Alistair Johnson and Ralston out right back. Not a lot of cover. Young lad Donovan, Tierney again. You know, they've obviously got the boy in for Boca Juniors, Saraki, but it's probably the fault at the striking areas for me. You're obviously going to play Maeda as a striker, Iheanacho. Who knows where he is fitness-wise, and listen, the 2 wingers, Barkwisher and Tunekti are unknown quantities. If they come in and are really good, Peter, then you would fancy Celtic, but I think there's a wee bit of pressure on those 2 guys now because there's not a lot of cover in the forward areas, the wide areas and through the middle, so I think you're banking on the 3 new signings to come in and really hit the ground running.
And you fancy Rangers to win the league?
No, I fancy Celtic, Peter. I think Celtic win the league, but as I said to you, it's not the last 3 years since COVID, but 3 seasons. I'd have said Celtic by a canter every season, start the season.
It's going to be really close.
I think it'll be close this year, Peter. I don't think that Celtic are miles ahead of Rangers. I don't think they're miles ahead of anybody.
Single digits?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get a real title race this season, Peter, and I think Hearts and Hibs will have a big say in it as well.
Do you think there'll be the same points difference between, we were looking at Celtic out, then Rangers, then big gap?
No, Peter, I don't. I think
it's going to be close.
I think if you look at last season, Aberdeen started great, Hibs started terrible, and then Aberdeen finished terrible and Hibs finished great. And I think if you'd have put the 2 of them together, Rangers were there for the taking last season for second. And I think this season you're just looking for a Hearts or a Hibs. Aberdeen have started poorly, but Hearts or a Hibs to really go and put a consistent run together. And if they do that, then they'll be breathing down the neck of Rangers in second, I think.
Yeah. Well, Ruffy, do you think it's going to be as close as Tam's suggesting?
Yeah, I think it will. I think it'll go right to the split this time. I think the split's always exciting, but sometimes you go into it and they're 8 or 9 points clear. I don't think that'll be the case this year. I agree with Tam. I think Hibs and Hearts at this particular time will have something to say about that. Aberdeen look as if they're getting, well, they should get their act together. So I think it's going to be really, really competitive, and I don't think there'll be a big gap between second and the rest as well.
Yeah, we looked at some of the squads in the midweek. Here's Celtic's ins and outs from overall. Even then, Ali, they've made a profit, and when you consider the last set of figures was 77 million, and we haven't seen, never mind the players coming in and out and the money that's made there, we haven't seen the overall figures for sales, add-ons, season tickets, Champions League money from last year. It's going to be a big figure, isn't it?
I think that's a source of frustration, that you are a well-run, well-established, financially sound club, but you've just not been able to use those resources to kick on, to strengthen, to go and invest in the playing squad and then accelerate that kind of development. I think that is the source of the anger, that the perception is that the recruitment strategy has just fallen entirely by the wayside, and that it just seems this haphazard approach to bringing in players, this scramble in the closing stages of a window to bring in reinforcements. And I think the optics of that don't look good. I think it certainly suggests that there's no modern approach to how you're recruiting. To me, you should be looking ahead to subsequent windows. You shouldn't just be preparing for the window that you're in, but you should have a plan for subsequent windows. You should be able to go and be identifying what you're going to need to be able to predict a cycle for the likes. It can't be a huge surprise to any of us sitting here or any Celtic fans that Dyson Maeda would have been contemplating a move this summer, or for Rio Hitati had someone come in and said, this can't be a huge surprise to anyone, and I certainly wouldn't imagine that it would be a surprise to those within the club. You have to be preempting these things to have an organisation, a strategy of what your cycle is going to be.
Yeah, closer.
I do think it will be closer.
Here's the Rangers squad depth. Have a look at them and analyse if there's enough there for Russell Martin to get. I think it's too early to judge, to say, is this squad going to be good enough? What I do think you can see is that if you to hold both those squads up and do a comparison, what you would say about the Celtic squad is that it still looks fairly stale and fairly staid. It's not moved a lot. In actual fact, if you go back and think, if you look at that Celtic squad and you think, there's still a lot of those players that are Ange Postecoglou era players. It's not shifted hugely, despite the players that have come in. Yeah, but
so when you look on to Rangers, it's moved. There has been an influx of cash. That I think you're talking about the guts of £30 million spent in recruitment. I like Majowski as a player. I think Majowski will probably be top goal scorer this season in the league. I think he's a clever. I think he's a clever player. I think he's in. I think the same. I like his movement. I think he's clinical. He knows the league. He knows the environment. I think he will play. He'll get chances to score at Rangers, and I think he'll take them. So I think they have options. I actually think they're probably stronger from middle to front than they are across the back line. The back line is where I think you would maybe think there are still issues, judging by the evidence of the early weeks of the season.
But if you think Majowski is going to be a top goal scorer, simple word, yes or no, does he score more than Dessers?
Yes.
So he's going to bag 30 goals?
I think so as well.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, 30 goals. Ruffy, you and I have stuck our neck out, and I think we're in trouble, because I think Maeda will be the top goal scorer of the season, but he'll have to score those 30 before January, before they sell him.
Made the comment, I know. No,
what do you make of that Rangers squad?
I think it looks good. It looks a lot better than what it has been over the years. The cover's there for everybody. Obviously, the Tavernier situation, the Raskin situation has to be sorted out. But if you look at, they've got plenty in abundance, midfield and up front. I'm not sure 25 goals a year, yes, strikers will get a chance with Rangers. He has got a lot of movement. You saw that with Aberdeen. Yeah, I think he needs to get his 11. He can't stop chopping and changing. He has to decide who are his two wide men, who's his centre forward, who's his two centre halves, who's the full backs, and then you'll get a good idea of what they're doing.
I think you'd be concerned as a Rangers supporter, Peter, about the left back cover. I think McGomer's looked really, really good. Looks good going forward. If he gets injured, they've not got another left back, Peter. And I think if you look at the difference for me this season is going to be Celtic have got proven winners in their squad, course and distance winners, plenty of medals, a manager who's a course and distance winner, been over the course, won everything. Rangers have got a manager who's unproven, hasn't won anything, and they've got a squad there that's not got a lot of winners' medals and don't have, in my opinion, what it takes to win the league. So I think when it comes down to pressure situations, big games, I think Celtic have the edge to win those games, and I think that's where Rangers will fall flat.
Yeah, Rangers ins and outs, and they have backed their manager. 32.4 million in, 24.9 million out. And there are a few fees in there that we're not certain on, but that's a kind of a broad look at what they've managed to do, and they've certainly backed him, and I think they will continue. You know, I know you mentioned that the next three games, I thought if you lost the Celtic game after losing so badly to Bruges, and I don't think the Celtic game gave him any credit other than the fact that they stopped Celtic scoring and never had a shot on target. But you think 3 games and he could be on his way out?
I think that, Peter, but when you hear Kevin Thelwell speaking, he's going to be there for the long term for me. You know, I get, you know, every game, you know, is a big game for Rangers at this moment in time, but when you're backing a manager to the tune of, Kevin Thelwell said, £20 million net in this window, when you're backing a manager to the tune of that, you're not going to rip it up after 5 or 6 games. So,
yeah.
Whilst I think Rangers do have to win the game, the next 3 games, I don't think, regardless, I think he's probably still with there, Peter.
This is what Kevin Thelwell had to say in the last 24 hours. Clearly, we must do better. Let's be honest. What we have delivered has not been good enough. We understand that has to improve, and we are frustrated by that. I've been very lucky over the course of my career to work with some very good head coaches, and I have to say, he is one of the best. That's Russell Martin he's talking about. We want the fan base to be proud of a team that holds and has similar values of honesty, hard work, respect and humility out on.
Active response to a poor and maybe just catch his breath, because we all appreciate the intensity of what happens when you go in at Rangers and at the ins and outs. Now he'll be able to say, this is a squad that I have to work with. I think at the ins and outs. Now he'll be able to say, this is a squad that I have to work with. I think his first task now is to sit down with Nico Raskin when he comes back from international duty, sort that situation out. It's in everyone's best interests that he's back in the team and back playing, and then go and try and... But he needs a... I don't think you can underestimate just how big a game it is against Hearts when they come back, and then Hibs in the cup game. Yeah. He needs 2 big results. It actually doesn't even matter about performance levels. It's just you need to come through these unscathed.
Well, I wouldn't bet on it, Ruffy, because Hibs and Hearts have impressed all of us. I mean, I've been really impressed with Derek McInnes's ability to change it from the bench. He's got a good bench as well, and they backed him. And David Gray, I mean, the feel-good factor around Hibs at the moment is just incredible, you know, because they like what they see.
Yeah, we like what we see, but again, you know, they're winning games, you know, but in the last minute, you know, the Motherwell game, the Livingston game, they're winning. I know that cares, but I mean, are they that good that they're going to go to Rangers and beat Rangers?
But every time everybody's talked about Hearts or Hibs or Aberdeen or anybody, you know, making that title race.
They go to Celtic Rangers and get pumped.
No, absolutely. But the thing about it is, that's a measure of it. You've got to go through, and I say this, you know, from looking back at a really good Hearts side that I watched in 85, 86, you have to go through to Celtic and Rangers and win. But one of the other key elements that you have to do when you're closing the gap on them is you have to win games. That's why I said Hibs had to beat St Mirren. You have to win the games against the other sides to really, you know, to be consistently doing it.
Consistency key.
Yeah, Hibs and Hearts have to go. And that's why I say, well, who cares when they score the goal? Hearts had to change it up at Tannadice. McManus did win the game 3-2. You know, they have to get something to get a point out of Motherwell. Manages to get it by making the changes, and Braga comes on and works a wee bit of magic.
Yeah, but I think we'll find out.
Yeah.
When Hearts go to Ibrox, I mean, we used to be Aberdeen used to say if you can't get into Glasgow, you're not going to win anything. You know, now that's the same for Hibs and Hearts. So they need to prove they have done it before, obviously when Rangers were struggling a wee bit. But now, if they're thinking of challenging, there is whispers that they're trying to split the Old Firm. You know, but these are the games that they've got to win. Yeah,
absolutely. Don't forget, if you get a chance this week, keep your eye on it, because every one of us has predicted 1 to 12 now that the transfer window is closed. Obviously, we will be allowed to invoke the Ruffy clause round about January, Ruffy, when that window closes, if we want to change our mind based on transfers. Is that acceptable,
yes.
Ali? Yeah.
Yes.
I think we've got to have 2 points in the window where you change.
When you realise you're completely wrong, off course, that you have to double back.
Well, no, what happens, and I think this is only right and proper, we can give our guesses at the start, which we all have to take on the chin, but what happens is you get a chairman who suddenly thinks in a January transfer window, listen, panic here, we could be relegated, so they make significant changes, they back their manager or they sack their manager, or indeed at the top end, you get a couple of clubs who think, this is on, let's get 1 or 2 players in. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, you do, and I think it will be close, Peter, at both ends. I don't see anybody running away with the league. I don't see anybody being tailed off at the bottom. So it might be a January window, wins somebody the league or saves somebody for relegation. But I think for the first time in a number of years, it just looks a more interesting league. It looks as if it's going to be more competitive. Yeah. And I think that's what everybody's been crying out for. I don't think it's healthy for Celtic to win the league 20-25 points every year. And that's just my opinion.
Can we hazard a guess that Maeda will not be there after January?
Yeah, well, listen, there's a few players right across the board. You know, some Rangers fans might look and say, well, are they going to cash in Raskin? Some Celtic fans might say, you know, you've got to cash in Maeda if you're following that blueprint. He could be an absolute stick-on to leave.
It'll depend on how well he does for now and then.
Yeah, these things. And here's a good one, Ruffy. Mickey Devine says Peter wears a Rangers top at some of his speaking events.
By the way, he's bang on. he's bang on, Mickey.
I can't remember that, Ruffy. Can you?
Wore it Rangers what? Strip?
Yeah, oh, obviously. Yeah.
I've never seen that.
I've seen him with the full kit on.
Yeah,
some of the dudes.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Tom.
Oh, are you talking about his pyjamas that he's got through there? His teddy bear once.
Football crazy says Dundee relegated, I reckon. It'll be interesting to get your thoughts on it and give us your thoughts on the whole thing. By the way, a good point here from Tone, who says, good to see Tony Docherty back in football as the Ross County boss. I thought when he came in here, he spoke a lot of sense, Ruffy. I really enjoyed Tony's company, and I do think, you know, sometimes you can be, as a chairman, slightly favouring someone that you've had as a player, and, you know, they're inexperienced, and Don Cowie, obviously, nobody likes to see someone get the sack, but Tony Docherty's got experience now.
He certainly has. When we had him in, he was hoping he wouldn't be at the game for a long time. Sometimes managers go away and people forget about them, but it's very, very good that he's got back in very quickly. I think we all think he'd got a raw deal at Dundee for whatever reason, but certainly he's back in there, and he'll be backed again by the owner, who won't want to be down. It's every year they're down there. You know, he'll want to get a manager in there that can maybe take them up the league a wee bit.
Yeah, Tam?
Yeah, great appointment, Peter. I'm not surprised. I think that when you look at Tony, you know, Hibs, Hearts, Celtic, Rangers, Aberdeen, you know, it's a small country, Scotland. There's only so many jobs you can get, and I thought when Ross County came up and Don Cowie gets sacked, I thought that's a good job for Tony. You know, they've got a good squad up there, well backed, and still early in the season. I know they're bottom of the league, but still plenty of time to win the league. So no, I think Tony will do really well up there.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, that league is now starting to look really, I would hate to call it Championship, because
I think it's such a competitive league to
try.
try
Were the favourites in the bottom of the league. So
well, not only that, but I think Neil Lennon at Dunfermline, he fancies, you know, because the owner has backed him, and you know, he's probably, as ever, when I spoke to him, he said, you know, maybe one or two that we could have done with, but every manager says that. But I think they'll be interesting this
Absolutely, I think so too. I think that's why he's there. I think Neil Lennon will be there to try and bring them back up, or certainly be there or thereabouts, and Tony Docherty's remit will be exactly the same.
I think Dunfermline, I always consider them a Premiership club.
Yeah, I think historically, I think there's so much that goes with them in terms of their stature and place within the Scottish game that you associate them with a top flight club.
Yeah, you think that way, Tam?
Yeah, I do. I've obviously played with Dunfermline, and
Yeah.
when we were going well in the Premier League, there were 7,000-8,000 there. So I just think this season with Neil and Dunfermline, I think they're very, very young. I think next season you'll maybe see stronger Dunfermline. This season, I think they'll be up and down. I don't think there'll be consistency with the amount of young players they've got, but they've got some pretty talented young players in their team.
Yeah, and a good point there from somebody who's called Biblical, a Motherwell fan. He says St Johnstone will go up, because I don't think you can look past them. I really like Simo Valakari. I thought he was really unlucky.
Yeah, I think at the end of the season he was playing good football. They were beginning to string some results together, but certainly the additions that he's made are very, very good, and you can see the form that they're in just now. So yeah, I think they'll be up there for a long time.
Stevie Mallam's a great signing for them.
Yeah.
Stevie Mallam's a top player. Injury problems down at Salford, but I think he could win the league this year.
Okay, give us your thoughts on all things Scottish football. Interestingly enough, of course, because the programme goes out, people some people watch it live. The majority of people who watch our programme, watch it on their big television, because YouTube, as you know, is the biggest channel now out with the BBC. It's great for us because our figures are absolutely fantastic. Over the course of the week, people watch it once they get a bit of peace and quiet. They sit down, male and female, Ali, have a cup of tea, and then they watch it, hypercritical of what we're wearing. Leather is a few times.
Throw things at the telly when Ruffy starts talking.
Exactly, and then
There's my laptop.
Yeah, exactly. Bang, 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 bang. But the great thing is, and it amazed me when one of our journos who studies it closely said, our audience huge. Throughout the week, roughly 70% of the people who watch it don't subscribe. We just need them to click on, get us to 100,000, Ali, and then we're going to give away a howitzer of a prize. It will not be in any way Ruffy with a Hoover in somebody's house. The last time we were in a house in Trinity with £1,000 that we handed over to a very, very happy Hibby fan. She was delighted, Ruffy, to see us that day.
Yeah, she certainly was, but so is everybody that's won a prize, whether it's money or a gift or a print or whatever. It's just happy to see their face, and they're happy to see us. That's when we can find them.
Yeah, well, I was out in Livingston. I chapped the door. I didn't know George Porter from anybody else. I was just delighted that he was a fan. We gave him all his prizes. We gave him his gift giveaways that he won in the competition for being a premium subscriber, which you get, Tam. But we also gave him the prize that Scott McTominay top as well. I think he was absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah, if you sign up to premium, there's lots of really interesting stuff, including some stuff for Ruffy.
It would be nice if we could
on the golf course and playing tennis.
Well, I was going to say to you, wouldn't it be great if we could come up with something for the golf Ruffy YouTube?
Yeah.
Will we do that for a competition for premium?
Definitely, yeah.
But what about the tennis? Because I'd love to be able to say to people who listen to the programme and watch it, wouldn't it be great if we had a doubles match? If you play tennis as well, people like lots of sports, you get a chance to play doubles with your partner against me and you. It's a great prize, but the unfortunate thing about it with you is, you've picked up one wee injury and you just won't play at all now. It's over for you.
No, it's not over. It's never over.
Are you done with tennis?
I'll be
Playing
back.
golf. When was the last time you played tennis? January.
Yeah, 4 or 5 months ago.
Exactly. And you know what?
I'm sorry. Can I just apologise for having a bad injury?
Finish with it.
I'm terribly sorry I was on crutches for 3 months, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the definition of it all, when you realise that somebody is no longer going to come back, the 7 or 8 people who all play in the mixed doubles, none of them mention his name now. In the early days, it was, is Ruffy okay? Is he coming back? Now, Peter, can you make it Tuesday? And I'm like, absolutely, just forget about him. He's gone.
I think we should go for the Alan Ruff putting challenge, because Ruffy's got the jips at chip. He can't chip the ball. from 100 yards. He puts everything from 100 yards.
Well, that's what we're going to do.
So we'll go the 100-yard putting challenge with Ruffy.
Competition is next week, Ruffy.
Okay.
Alison,
Sign up for
from
premium.
your own point of view, there's a
I
lot
don't
of...
want to mention it's the Bulls final this weekend. Guess I get slaughtered at that as well.
Absolutely. Just out of curiosity, Alison, I mean, obviously we'll need to come up with a prize, which is for yourself. I know there's a guy slaughtered you the other day.
It's unusual.
Yeah.
Was there a sport,
It's an
Alison?
Aberdeen hater, but that's the thing.
Alison, it must have been a
That's what Kenny
sport. You
said.
did it.
She needs to change her.
Simply average across the
Yeah,
board.
what sport did you play?
I was a runner. Not
Any particular
not
distance?
fast. The sort of middle distance.
Yeah. Do you want to tell Ruffy what's happened this
No,
week, Ali?
no.
You really?
No.
It's not
I
good,
think
is
it's
it?
time we move on. Everybody's bored here. Come on.
Ali went out for a 5k and it didn't go well.
Did you get injured? Did you stop?
No.
It's rubbish.
It's rubbish. It's
right.
gone.
At least she's tying.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to speak to you about something, Ruffy, which I think a lot of people like to... Obviously, you know, Andy Robertson, there was real thought that he might be leaving Liverpool. He stayed on. And I think with joining up with the Scotland squad, he expressed his feelings on the death of Diogo Jota. I know they were pretty close. This is what he had to say on the effect it had on him and his teammates.
Yeah, you know, the most difficult thing we'll ever go through. Such a surprise, such a shock, devastating for his family first and foremost, but obviously devastating for us as a group of lads. And yeah, you know, obviously football, you know, I don't think anyone could care less about football when things like that happen. It puts life into perspective as to what's important, you know, spending time with your family, spending time with your kids, because you never know what's round the corner. And yeah, it's the toughest thing, like I says, we'll ever be through. Losing one of your closest mates for me was hugely difficult, and yeah, it's something we'll probably never get over, but it's just something that we have to carry with us. We have to carry the memories we've got with him with us, and as long as we continue to do that, then he'll always be in our thoughts, he'll always be in our hearts, and yeah, that's all we can do.
That must be really, really difficult, because this week, I think, from your own point of view, Ruffy, it must have been really difficult when you get the sad news that one of your old teammates, Jimmy Bone, had passed away.
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, that you get clubs who are quite a close community, you know, guys that you're dealing with every day for, 10, 15 years or whatever. You know, you get very close. Players come and go, but when you're in an environment in the dressing room, when there's somebody like that, I mean, I'm talking about Jimmy, it's very difficult to deal with, it is, because you're not only your player, he's your mate as well, you know, and the memories flood back all the good times you had. Difficult for them because he was still playing. He was still in the dressing room. He was still, you know, in the way his life was taken away, you know,
I think the shocking
the
nature
shock of it, you know, it must have been hard for them. But Liverpool have always been like that. They've always been very, very close through everything, the Hillsborough, everything that goes on there. They all talk about the boot room and everything. So I do believe that Liverpool in particular are very close to their players.
Yeah, that in itself must have been particularly difficult for him, and then you have to refocus as a professional and get on with your job. Yes, life does go on, Tam, but especially for him because he was close to him, and you get to a situation where you've won the league, you've shared all those brilliant memories, and then you say, right, enjoy your holidays, I'll see you when you come back, and then tragedy.
Yeah, it was the shocking nature of it, Peter. You know, it was all a sudden, an accident, and you're right, you just go away, you did a great season at Liverpool, won the league, celebrated together, you know, go away in the summer, and they're just about to come back into pre-season, and then they wake up to that news. So it must have been horrendous for the players, horrendous for the management. Obviously, football goes out the window, as he said there. You know, you just concentrate, you're trying to be there for their family, their kids, his wife, and you just try to get on with it. But he's right, that they'll never forget that Liverpool squad who won the league and who went through that. We'll never forget that phone call or that text message to say that happened.
Yeah, just on that point, Ruffy, of Jimmy Bone, you know, in countless matches that I played alongside him for Dukla, he was good fun. And, you know, I can understand how people raved about him as a player as well, because he could hold the ball in, he could score goals. What was he like for you?
Well, Jimmy early on, you know, when I think I was 17 or 18, took me under his wing to show me the afterlife of football, which meant going out at night, particularly in the... Jimmy stayed in a place called Fallin, which was a mining village. And a lot of people don't know this. When we won the League Cup in 71, Jimmy was still down the pits. He had to get the day off his shift to go and play in the final. And a lot of people from that area will know that Fallin had a social club, a miners' social club, and some of the acts that used to be there, like Frankie Vaughan, all the massive... Jimmy used to go there every night, and he used to take me and a couple of the young boys along there. And you're right, he was just a joy to be with, just fun all the time. We used to stay at his place at the weekends and everything, but he was a great guy.
You know, the good thing about it, Ruffy, is I was, you know, asking that question, you know, just about Ruffy turning around and saying, and Jimmy used to hold the ball in really well, and he could score goals and headers and flicks, and he just went, boom, nights out, fantastic. No, but I knew you were going to say
the other thing I did say as well, and I'm not saying Jimmy was Kenny Dalglish, but if you watch Kenny Dalglish when he scores a goal, the way he celebrates, if you get any photos of Jimmy Bowen scoring a goal, the exact same. It's just a joy, a celebration of what he was to do. I
wasn't having a go at you, I was actually just highlighting what you're all about, which is basically, if you're a good teammate, there's a good night out, Ali. That's Ruffy. You've got to have that.
I'd buy into that.
Well, it's old school now. I mean, Tam will tell you, you know, that not knocking the foreign players in the game now, I think a lot of them have a different aspect in how to do after a game on a Saturday. Way back when we played, it was a joint community where everybody went down into the town, you went to a pub, you all sat and had a few beers, and that's the way it was. Obviously life has changed and everybody's their own idea of enjoying themselves, but I think that's why a lot of the Rangers and the Celtic and the Hearts and the Hibs clubs away back then did very well, because the players were so close. You know, when I was at Hibs, it was all Edinburgh boys, wee Kano and Gordon Hunter and wee Mickey Weir, and it was a close community in the dressing room, and they're all pulling for each other. I'm not saying they're not doing that now, but I just get a feeling in a dressing room was much closer away back then.
Yeah, and the Fallin...
I'll tell you after all. I'll tell you later.
Thanks for that, Ruffy. That's PLZ through the night with Ruffy, Tam and myself.
Twilight Tales.
And Ali, if she ever opens up on the early years. But nevertheless, that was a lovely tribute to Jimmy, and I think you know, you only have to hear the thoughts of Andy Robertson there. And it brings me nicely to... there's no point in us talking, you know, at great length about the Scotland game, because quite simply, by the time the show goes out, people listen to podcasts, you know, the game's, you know, done and dusted, and we will reflect on both games on Monday's programme. But nevertheless, he has to get off to a good start, because people are talking... I don't know how people are talking about the future for Steve Clarke. The future's fairly obvious. He either gets a long run to take us to the World Cup, or eventually, once the game's done and dusted, they go, Steve, thanks very much, we'll see you later. He's not going on past these 2 years.
But he's already come out, Peter, and said you don't need a good start. We did have a good start in the Euros, but with a good end. But you're right, he's got to have a good start. Why are we chasing up? I mean, everybody's talking about Denmark. I'm more worried about Greece. I think Greece are a quality side. You know, we've got to take things out of these games. Knowing the last 4 games of the section, or we've got to do it right at the very beginning and get everybody right behind the team, get us rooting for them, you know, because the World Cup is an incredible occasion. I told you I've been to 3. 3? 3? It's the finals, man.
You know the other thing about it, Ali, and I'll never get tired of him telling me that, if only for the fact when you're a kid and you're filled with enthusiasm. We fill our sticker albums in. We were all absolutely loving, you know, Ruffy playing in these World Cups and seeing quality players. I read something this morning talking about, there's more Scotland players playing in the Premier League now, so he's got a greater standard of player
and abroad
to call on, and there's more abroad as well. It's a good point, Ruffy. But I'm not too sure I'm filled with confidence. I like Steve Clarke as a person. I think he's a good coach for getting teams organised, but I think he's too cautious, and I I'm not filled with confidence. I really want all of us to go to the World Cup. Maybe not have the same madness that we had at the European Championships, but I'd like us all to go, but I can't see it. And all we have to do is finish above Denmark. Mother of God.
I think it's quite a... I would agree with you. I think that when you look back at the Euros, I thought it was criminally safe at points. The unwillingness to change things within games. I thought taking James Forrest and not utilising them. I think we've underperformed at both European Championships. When you look at the squad, it's almost as if we took a bit of stage fright each time. I think you want to see a more aggressive campaign to get us there. I don't know that there's the evidence from recent results to suggest that we can go and negotiate away to the World Cup.
I mean, Tam and I want Kieran Bowie to start, but some people have said to us, Paul Brady says, Peter, you say he's cautious, I say he's negative. I mean, Paul, listen, I'm not even going to condemn you for that, because at times, we want Kieran Bowie to start. We want him to be on the front foot. We want him to be creative. We want him to be adventurous. But if it's just sit in and wait and see if you can pick your moment against Denmark and in Belarus, then give me peace. We're good.
No, Peter, listen, I think that tonight we'll have a go. I think that Steve's got to qualify. I think he'll wait to get sacked. I think if we don't qualify, he'll walk anyway. And I think we've got enough players in the team to cause Denmark problems. Denmark's not playing France or Spain. You're playing a decent team. But I think you look at Slovakia beating Germany last night. Poland drawn away in Holland. I think we're better than people give it credit for, but we've got to go out and do it on the night.
Well, can I tell you something? I hope you're right, but we're not better domestically, because we're just come off the last week there of we're talking about going to games, and I've been waxing lyrical about how great it was to see Motherwell play a certain brand of football. But let's be honest about it. Scottish football fans are fanatical about the domestic game, but our football is rank rotten. We can't even qualify for group stages of European football. Our performances the other week there were abysmal. Every club has let Scotland's coefficient drop down to 17th. It is abysmal. So we need to do something domestically to change our game, or to try and get more quality players getting 50, 70, 100 games. So we need to look at that. But internationally, we've got fault lines that we haven't been able to solve them. In the back line, a centre half. In the front line, a goal scorer. And I do believe in a manager that needs to change his attitude to the way he goes about his business.
I think he will, Peter. Honestly, I think we'll be positive tonight in this game. I think we need to go in there and not get beat. If we go there and get a point, people will say it's a good point. Go and beat Belarus 4 out of 6 is a good start for us.
Yeah.
If we go and we get beat off of Denmark, then you're right up against it right away. With 2 games to come against Greece home and away and Denmark at home, so
4 out of 6.
4 out of 6.
4 out of 6. Yeah. I think you've got to take 4 out of 6. We're happy with that.
With 4 out of 6.
Give you a good platform.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of things I want to get your thoughts on, lads, before we go. And I've got a quiz. I thought we'd have 5 questions, Ali, just to keep everybody on their toes. Ali, since she started with us, how many years have you been with us now, Ali?
7.
7 years, and of those 7 magical years, she's never changed that look of disdain for top 5s, top 10s, or quizzes. So
you love it. You love a top 10 and a top 5.
I do love it. I think people do when they go into pubs, Ruffy. If you have a pint and
it's a very male thing. Top 5 movies, top 10 album. It's a really male thing. Yeah. I've never sat with a group of my girlfriends and said, let's have a top 5.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you something? I must give it. You're going to get battered. I'll tell you one thing. Some people do, because I was actually appearing at an event on Friday, I think it was, for Rhonda Jones. Rhonda Jones, who is a great friend of mine, played for Scotland, over 100 caps, I think 117. 3rd best player from our village, which I think is great. She's behind myself and Gary McAllister. But she's absolutely magnificent. She's raising money for mental health, and Yams is her charity. And Rhonda and all her pals were there, and a couple of girls bid, Ruffy, who played for women's football. They've bid to come into the studio and we're going to get them on the show. So it was magic. But they like a top 5 and a top 10. So the questions are coming.
Is that your chat up? Like?
Yeah, that was exactly the line.
What's your top,
I said to
top
them,
5 drinks?
who's your top 5 presenters you'd really like a night out with?
Not particularly good at quizzes.
Don't worry about it.
Girls had one down at the tennis club, and I came out one night and goes, Ruffy, come and help us. It's the sports section. The first question was, could you tell me how wide a goal is and how tall it is? And I was going,
Clueless.
no chance.
I know. I've been there, Ruffy. I've been there.
Too big and wide for you.
Yeah, exactly. Which reminds me, Ruffy, as I did tell you once when I was starting out as a young reporter trying to make a good name for myself at Radio 4th.
How did that go?
It didn't go well. Thanks for that. The bosses said to us, can you come to a big event at the Sheraton in Edinburgh? And I said, absolutely. And they said, we want you to contribute for the sport section of the big quiz. So there's some of the DJs who are there. And then there's the directors. And then there's me at the back, in the table of 12. And the quiz starts, Tam, and they go into general knowledge, and everybody tries to chip in, and you're trying to make a good impression, Ali, so that people will like you.
Did you just go outside and wait for the sports?
Oh, no, in came the sports questions. The first question, Ruffy, sport, in bridge. So I'm really sweating. And then the second question was equestrian. And I'm thinking, I'm dead. I am out my ear here. And then, one of the questions was about Lucinda Pryor-Palmer. Show jumping, so I'm goosed. I am absolutely goosed. And the only way I retrieved the situation, Ruffy, was movies and music, where I just absolutely wiped the floor with everybody.
We have been to a big quiz where there's people cheat.
Yes, yes, that as well. Listen, quick couple of points before we get to the quiz. Messi, last appearance at home for Argentina. One of his goals was just sheer genius in the 3-0 win over Venezuela. But is he going to the World Cup? I think he should say, I've done my bit, thank you, ended the way I wanted. Do you think he'll go in 2026?
He couldn't do any better than what he did to end it, I don't know, I think there'll be a clamour, there'll be a clamour.
I agree, I think he goes.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going.
Right.
I think everybody will be desperate to get him.
Daniel Levy leaves after 25 years, and boy did the Tottenham fans want him out at some point, regularly over those 25 years. One big trophy, a new stadium, and a really profitable club. Does this ring any bells? But he's gone.
Yeah, I think if down the years, if you were to say who the problem was with taking them further than what they should have went, it's him. Obviously he has his own mind how to run the club by himself. There was a documentary on about Spurs a couple of years ago, and he didn't come out of it very well. So I'm sure the Spurs supporters will be very happy he's left.
Be some people with deep pockets looking to buy Spurs shortly.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. There's a big one. Tam, as ever. Can I just say quickly another thing? Zach Mitchell has joined Hibs, the 20-year-old from Charlton. They managed to get all the paperwork through and agreed with FIFA that there was a problem with the processing of it. So he's in. So that's another signing for the Hibs. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it as a shout out, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can shout out.
Okay. Who is the current Ballon d'Or holder? There you are. Now.
The goalkeeper.
Yeah. Martinez. Anybody else? Current Ballon d'Or holder. Mbappe. Ali, do you want to have a go at this one? And quite a few.
I should know this.
Yeah, you should know this. Okay. Maybe I started too difficult for you. Okay, the answer was Rodri.
Rodri.
Oh.
Okay. Who is the top goal scorer in the Scottish Premiership right now? I don't know if I should have done this because it doesn't. You three are thunder.
Is it the boy from Hull?
Eh?
I'll go Boyle.
No.
Motherwell fullback, 3 goals in 4 games.
Longello?
Yes.
Longello.
No. The answer.
Braga got.
Braga's got a couple. The answer is Ivan Dolcek, Dundee United. Which team did Iheanacho leave on a free transfer to join Celtic? Well done, Tam. How many goals did Ali McCoy score for Rangers?
321.
120.
120?
That was
He won the
season
golden-
68.
321.
321. What are you going for, Ali?
I think it's higher than that.
Yeah? Well, go on, give me a higher figure. Closest wins the point.
428.
428, Ruffy?
390.
390. The answer, you've won again there, Tam, 355, Ali. And where did Aberdeen defeat Real Madrid in the 1983? There you are. There you are. That's a quiz, Ruffy. You happy with that?
Good. I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah. And the last question is only directed at you, Ruffy.
Oh, no.
It was sent in by John Brennan. And he says, Friday the 5th of September, which is today, is the 94th anniversary of the death of Celtic goalkeeping legend John Thompson. Young John was said to have practiced saving shots in front of his father's greenhouse. Could you ask Ruffy if he had used the same training method, how many Glazers would be driving around in Rolls Royces today? That is a fantastic question from John Brennan. No faith whatsoever.
Brilliant.
John,
Greenhouse.
absolutely brilliant question from you. Listen, thank you very much. Amazingly, as we did mention to you, believe me, we are going to give away a How-Wit surprise for one of you who's part of the subscribers to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. The football show is absolutely free. If you want additional stuff, there is a subscription button to PLZ Premium where you get the chance to win some fantastic prizes. I hope you have a great weekend. On Monday, we'll be reflecting on the game against Denmark, and then on Tuesday we'll obviously look at what happened against Belarus. But we're fingers crossed. We want Scotland to do really well. I'm sure you do as well. And then Tam's favourite week next week is back to domestic football and looking ahead to it. So we'll let you have a look at the competition that's coming up. Of the 70% who watch the programme at their own leisure and the podcast, hit the subscribe button to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. You'll be in the hat for a great prize that we're going to give away. Thanks to Alison, thanks to Ruffy and Tam, and from myself, Peter Marston, thank you for listening and watching. This week's competition on PLZ Premium is fairly straightforward. You get the chance to win one of these fabulous Maestro tops in red, blue, green or black. It's ideal for a bit of leisure wear, golf, training, you name it. It looks cool. If you're supporting your favourite team, it might be in your favourite colours. And we'll also throw in a chance for you to get one of these fabulous posters with legends of the game with their legendary numbers as well. Good competition, great chance to win your favourite Maestro top and some legends thrown in for good measure. Good luck, sign up to PLZ Premium, you're in the hat, and we'll pick out one lucky winner. It could be you.